Fiction writing and journalism, as different as they may sound, are also similar in many ways. For this episode, also the season finale of the third season, we have Pranaya Rana, a journalist and writer. He writes Kalam Weekly, a current affairs newsletter. In this episode, we talk about how Pranaya's love for fiction shapes his journalistic writing and what happens when these two different sides of writing meet. Thank you for tuning in to How'd You Create That? The podcast is supported by the Open Institute for Social Science. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We are also on Substack with curated writings from the podcast on creativity and the creative life. I'm your host, Alfa. Welcome to the podcast, Pranay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you again.
Same here. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. All right. I guess could be better, could be worse.
That's an interesting answer. Could go either ways. I wanted to start from a memory. So a memory that has you actually in a very. I'll just explain, then you'll figure it out, I guess. It's been 10 years that your book came out, City of Dreams. And I remember seeing you talk to World Book Day ma 2016 तिर एउटा event भएको थियो. And you were speaking at that event. अनि म पनि आएको थिएँ. So I think that was the first time that I saw you from the audience side. And the reason I remember that was because त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ I was finding like Nepali people who write in English, and your book had just come out. अनि त्यो दिन मैले अर्को किताब पनि किनेको थिएँ, त्यहाँ बुक सेलहरू लागेको थियो. So that's the reason I remember the exact date and time.
Wait, where was this?
I don't know where it was, but it was World Book Day. It was 2016.
I do not remember this, but yeah, I'm sure Badhyo.
That was like 9 years ago, and it's been 10 years since your book came out. So how does that feel? A decade.
Yeah. It does not feel good. Mainly because I haven't written another one since then. That's the big problem. Is that every time I realize how many years it's been, it's like, why haven't I been able to do this again in those 10 years? So yeah, it just makes me feel strange.
How do you look back at it?
I don't really like it. I feel like it was written by someone else, or at least a different me. Right? It's been 10 years. Yeah. I was very much a different person than I am right now. So I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I don't recognize these stories, or like I don't recognize the person who wrote these stories. So I'm very ambivalent about it. I don't really like it. I'm not sure I hate it. I don't know. I'm confused. So the stories are part of that. Do you feel like who wrote this kind of feeling? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I feel like who wrote this, or sometimes I feel like why did I write this? I feel like maybe I could have done it better, But I feel like every artist or like writer feels that way about like, an old piece of work.
Yeah.
Feels like, I could have done it better. If I had done that today, I would have done it better. So I guess it's just like, it's a natural thing, right?
Yeah, it's a natural thing. I was cleaning my computer I think last year clean गरिरहेको त्यो फाइल्सहरू अनि कहाँबाट मैले हाई स्कुलमा हुँदाखेरि लेखेको एउटा स्टोरी भेटाएछु. I was like, oh my god, what was that? So yes, you're right. When you look back at our old work, it feels like a different person, a different time. But what was it about writing then and now that pulled you?
I don't rightly know what it was. But I don't know. I was just somehow drawn to stories, reading, writing. I used to read a lot ever since I was a kid. But I think maybe it was also because very early on in life, when I was like maybe in grade 3, 4, बच्चै हुँदाखेरि, I had teachers who were big storytellers. They love to just like gather all the kids around and just tell all these like stories that we probably shouldn't have been told at that age. So I tell this. I've written about this also before. There was this one teacher when I was in boarding school as well. So after dinner, we'd always have like a study period. एक घण्टा जतिको लागि you'd have to do your homework and all that, and then go to bed. But this teacher, he'd tell us all to put everything away, and that one ghanta he would tell us the story of. So he told us multiple stories, but the one that sticks in my mind is he told us the entire plot of The Godfather. When we were, I think, in grade 5 or 6, right?
Oh.
The entire plot of The Godfather, and he just narrated it because he couldn't show us the movie or we couldn't read the book, right? Because we were too young. But he just he just told us the story of it. And I remember being fascinated. And it's not just me, like, मेरो entire class, सबजना after the storytelling or the next day, that's all we'd be talking about. We'd be talking about ke huncha la अब यसलाई, oh, what's going to happen to Michael? Oh, what's going to... it was so cool, okay? Just to like be told these stories, and somehow all of us were just like shared in this creation, right? So यस्तै कुराले I think it contributed to me being attracted to stories and like telling them and writing them and reading them.
It's like, what's gonna happen next? अब के हुन्छ त?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that आफूले लेख्दाखेरि पनि?
Yeah, a lot, because I'm not one of those people who really maps out everything. There are writers out there who have like a strict structure, they're like, this happens and then this happens and then this happens, like fully laid out in their minds. I don't. Usually I don't know where the plot is going until I sit down and start doing it. I might have a general like sense of like, के चाहिँ हुन्छ भनेर, तर कसरी हुन्छ, how is it going to progress? I don't know. And writing is also exciting for me because it's finding that out. Like, okay, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, true. That reminds me of writing is also discovery. A lot of people say it's expression, and it is expression. It's not like त्यो होइन भन्न खोजेको होइन, but so much is also discovery. मैले के भन्न खोजेको भनेर पनि थाहा हुन्छ कहिलेकाहीँ after you've written it.
Yeah.
Do you like to have an ending in mind, or even the ending is like you don't know?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's like whenever I write a story or something, I need something to go on. I can't just sit and write. And that something to go on can be it can be the ending. Sometimes I'll know how the story ends, and now it's a matter of figuring out how to get to that ending. And sometimes it's a beginning. Sometimes it's like just, okay, here's how it starts. And then I'm like, okay, great. That's how it starts. So I can start, but where do I go from there? I don't know. Or sometimes it's just a title. It's just like I need like something small to go on, and then I can just build the story around that.
Okay. That's interesting. Something that keeps you going, basically. Yeah. So apart from writing fiction, you've also worked in journalism. How do you think that, like, how did that go about? What is it that pulled you towards journalism, into media? You've also edited others' work.
Yeah. Let me just say that I think journalism has ruined my life.
Oh.
Now let me tell you what I mean about that. Because I always wanted to be a fiction writer. I always wanted to write stories. I wanted to write books. I wanted to do all of that. But when I was, in high school, and I wanted to just write, and the only way for me to write was to work for a newspaper or a magazine, because there were really no places that were publishing fiction stories that I had written, right? Like, so that's why I got into journalism, just to write.
Right.
And then eventually what happened is that I couldn't get out of it. I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And of course, I mean, when I say journalism has ruined my life, I'm being facetious. I know it's not like it hasn't really ruined my life. It is my life now. But in a different world, I would have preferred to become more of a fiction writer and less of a journalist. It's just that today I am more of a journalist than I am a fiction writer. But my really big passion was fiction writing, is fiction writing. But it is also journalism. I wish there was a balance, because there are lots of journalists out there who write fiction who are able to do both very well. I have not been able to do that. So in my life, there isn't really a balance. It is mostly journalism all the time and fiction writing very little of the time.
Do you borrow elements from fiction? Like, how do you think journalism and fiction speaks to each other? Because you said it's your passion, or, it's being a fiction writer is what you want deep inside, but then you are in journalism, which is also something you like. Do you borrow from one place to the other, or are there differences?
No, of course, there are lots of similarities, but of course, some very hard and fast differences, right? Because fiction is fiction and journalism cannot be fiction. It has to be true. But, good journalism always has, or any good writing has, very similar features. You always want, nice, great, evocative characters. You want, a semblance of an arc, right? You want you want the reader to come away having learned something or having felt something, and that's the point of most, like, all good writing, right? So whether we're doing fiction or whether we're doing non-fiction, we do want the reader to feel a certain thing, to feel a certain way, to maybe connect with a character, to come away, having started at point A and ended at point B. So there are those more, I guess, the aim of writing. But also when you come down to the technicalities, of course, there's also, it is writing. The more fiction you read, the more fiction you write, I think it also makes you a better journalist, because it makes you a better storyteller. And journalism is also storytelling.
Indeed. So you're running Kalam Weekly these days. How did that come about?
Kalam Weekly. It's a weekly newsletter that I write. It goes out on Fridays, and it's basically, summarizing the week, what happened, and one deep dive into, a major issue. So I started this when I was with the record. While I was editing the record, I decided that, like, no one else was doing newsletters. And this was, I think, in 2020, 2021, when newsletters were really, like, taking off. It was like pandemic time, and everyone was doing newsletters, but no one in Nepal was doing newsletters. So I was like, okay, here's a new media thing that no one seems to have touched. So why don't we start it? Because record was also, we were trying to do new things. We were trying podcasts or videos, all of that. So that's where I started. And I wanted it to be like a current affairs thing, but also something that is not difficult to read, because a lot of Nepali news, especially political news, is very difficult to read. Like, if you are not intimately familiar with who these characters are, who these people are, what they've been doing, you tend to get lost, right? And you pick up Kantipur or Kathmandu Post and you read the main news. And a lot of times you don't really understand what that means unless you've been following what has happened for forever, right? So I wanted this newsletter to be something where you can pick it up and really understand what is going on. So I try to give a lot of context. I try to explain who these people are, where they come from, why this matters. So it's a matter of, like, I think journalism these days has really evolved into kind of a, either you know it or you don't, kind of, so mainstream newspapers tend to not provide enough context, or they also can't because limitations of space and time and all of that. सबैमा त दिन मिल्दैन context. तर I think important कुराहरुमा चाहिँ you need to provide as much context as you can, because you want people to know where the story is coming from and what it potentially means. Especially for younger people these days.
Yeah.
Attention span or कम भइसक्यो.
Absolutely.
It's difficult for you to read something if you don't really understand it, right?
Yeah.
त्यो पुरानो, you had magazines, you had newspapers. We read it because there was nothing else to read. यही पढ्ने त हो नि, so जबरजस्ती पढिन्थ्यो. अहिले त option यति धेरै छ.
Competing factors धेरै छ.
So I wanted this newsletter to really be like a go-to source for the news, especially for a lot of people who don't have time or don't have the interest to read like every single day or 5 newspapers to figure out, okay, ke chai important bhairasa. So I just try to give what I think are important stories that happen. It's also curation pani ho. It's like what I think, right? So it's a very personalized kind of take on news and analysis. So that was why I started. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see, especially when you were saying, who these characters are and giving background, I think that's where the fiction writer comes in.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, because you throw your reader in the world, but you also slowly explain, this is this character and this is this and this is why it's happening. So yeah, I definitely see that. What's the ideation stage like for Kalam? Like, how do you write it? I mean, that's not a great question, I know.
No, this is a question that I get asked most often. It's like, how do you do this every week?
Yeah.
And like, how long does it take you to, like, how do you actually write it? So I usually by Wednesday, I have an idea of what to write. If I don't have an idea of what to write, I start panicking. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do this week? How am I going to get this newsletter out? And I stress, but somehow it just happens. I don't know. I just read what's happening, right? Like every day, I read all the newspapers, read all the news portals, see what people are talking about, what is going on, go through social media, Twitter, and see के मा चाहिँ यसपालि यो हप्ता झडा भइरहेछ, and see if I can write about it. But usually by Wednesday, I have like a general idea. Okay, yo week, this is like an important issue. So a lot of people are talking about it. Articles are being written about it. So I think I need to explain this to my readers. So I have a general idea. I start to write it either on Wednesday or Thursday morning. Either Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. I have the deep dive usually done by Friday. And then the roundup of the news that I do before the deep dive, I write it on Friday morning because I want to wait till, these develop हुँदै गर्छ नि त. You don't know what's going to happen. So Friday सम्म चाहिँ कुर्नु पर्यो just to see what is going to happen this week. I continue writing. Generally, I write all Friday. All day. On and off aliali, tara, most that Friday I dedicate it to the newsletter, to writing the newsletter. So I don't go out, I don't do anything else. I get a lot of invitations from people to join programs on Fridays, and I'm always like, no, I can't do it on Friday. That's my newsletter day.
So okay.
So
yeah, today is not Friday when you're recording the podcast.
Exactly. So yeah, त्यही हो. अनि Friday त्यही 6-7 बजेसम्म I am done with it and I send it out.
So it's always evolving. So you don't plan you're not able to plan in advance that you will write this next week. You हुन्छ भनेर थाहा हुँदैन. So it's always, even till Friday morning, you're waiting. अब कस्तो develop हुन्छ, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Because अब त्यही current affairs हो, होइन, you really don't know. Sometimes the Wednesday सम्म थाहा हुँदैन. Sometimes Friday सम्मै पनि थाहा हुँदैन के लेख्ने भनेर. Because things are constantly evolving. के भइरहेको हुन्छ नि त. Especially झन् अब नेपाल हो, right? You can't really tell भोलि के हुन्छ. जे पनि हुन सक्छ यहाँनिर. Things move so fast. So yeah, त्यही हो. I don't plan. Usually I just like take it by the ear, see how things are evolving, and then
Wow. Okay. So no planning and moving by the ear. Wow. Again, the fiction writer comes in where you don't know what's going to happen. Does that stress you out though? Like, oh, well, I know. Do you have a backup plan?
No, I don't. Yeah, that stresses me out a lot. I'm always stressed out.
Oh no.
Yeah, sometimes there just isn't anything to write about. So what do? And so sometimes, I do like, I'll go watch a film and do like a film review. I'll go read a book and like, do a book review. So this is, got it down. So sometimes I have those, or sometimes I'll just write an essay. And the essay is somehow do well, like I get a lot of feedback from people saying, oh, I like these essays. More than the more newsworthy stuff that I write. They like these, meandering kind of ruminations sometimes. Ethical mood chalcha ni kaile kaile testo lekhnalai, where you just want to like figure things out for yourself and you just write it.
Yep, true.
Yeah, and it somehow resonates with readers.
Yeah, I've read a few. Taphaile actually music wala pani pathaunu bhako थियो एउटा न्युजलेटरमा.
Music?
Yeah.
Was it like a playlist or something?
I don't remember exactly if it was a playlist, but yeah, you had suggested a song or a music or something. It was related to that, yeah. And that was, for me as a reader, that was very refreshing. That's the different voice, so.
Yeah. I think that helps to break the monotony, like kati news ka bare, kati, especially politics, kati kura happen, right? Sometimes readers also just want to be like, all right, let's just read something fun or something creative.
Yeah, to something less stressful, maybe. Yeah. That brings me to the other question. How does voice work in like nonfiction pieces writing or in like column, or as compared to how you would write in fiction?
So yeah, I think journalism, you're taught to like have no voice, right? It's actually supposed to be that voice from nowhere. You want your readers to have like, so that readers feel like this is objective. This is like the truth of the matter. This is the fact. They teach you that. But then that's not really how it works, right? Like we are all subjective people. We all have our own thoughts, ideas, paradigms, our prejudices. So there's no such thing as the voice from nowhere. You can't really not have a voice, right? And good journalists always have a voice, especially when you're doing like, long form reporting. You can always tell, especially, journalists who do this a lot, like who write a lot of long form, they have a very distinctive voice and you can kind of tell who wrote this even without looking at the byline. So, by विदेश हुन्छ नेपालमा पनि धेरै छन् writersहरू where you can kind of tell like, okay, this is like when Amit Dhakal writes an analysis of something that happened, you can always tell that this is Amit Dhakal writing it. I don't have to look at the byline. He has a very specific style of writing, right? Like sometimes even paila journalism and like editorials, right? Editorials which are supposed to be like very like, just the voice of the paper.
Yeah, you're not supposed to know who wrote it. It's not supposed to be an individual person, right?
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to be. But Kantipurma, when Narayan Wagle was the editor, I could always tell when he's written the editorial himself, right? Or when he's contributed a lot to the editor. Because usually there's a editorial team who write it together. But because Narayan Wagle has a very lyrical voice, like his style of writing, the way just he's like mithas, bhasa ko mithas. You can always tell that, okay, yeah, today's editorial, Narayan had a lot to do with it. Because I can tell by the language. So testo pani huncha. So voice nahune, But especially for column, I've tried to have my own voice, even though we're taught not to do that. But I think we are moving towards journalism that is very opinionated, that is coming from a person that you trust. So I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago, I think with I think she was Fox News, कसको host Laura, no, was it Laura Loomer? No, it was Megyn Kelly. Yeah, okay. So it was Megyn Kelly. So Megyn Kelly is पहिला she was at I think MSNBC or something, and then Fox News मा गयो. She is kind of like slightly a right-wing figure, अलिकति darling हो हैन Fox News मा चाहिँ in the US. But I was listening to this podcast with her, and she said something very interesting, which I thought, which I kind of like agree with, is that news is moving more and more towards like personalities. You know, the days of this objective kind of newspaper that comes to you and it has all the facts, those days are dying.
Mm-hmm.
We are moving today towards the age of podcasts, the age of talking heads, where you make a YouTube video, you sit in front of a camera and you tell people, here is what I think. That's where people are getting their information from these days. And Nepalma पनि यही त भइरहेछ, right? Like all these podcasts that have now proliferated. So they have proliferated because they're popular. People watch them and people really like them. We have a podcast or a video podcast, which is like a video explainer that Sudhir Sarma does. And Sudhir Sarma was the editor of Kantipur. He's probably one of Nepal's like most well-regarded journalists. But instead of writing, instead of having a newspaper or something, he's doing YouTube videos. So that's where we're going towards, and people trust him, right? People are like, okay, yeah, Sudhir Sarma, I know that name, I know his bylines, I know his books, I know what he writes about, I know his background. So I trust this guy. And I trust him to tell me what is happening and to interpret things for me so that I understand things better. So त्यतातिर गइरहेछ, and that means the voice is more important than ever, right? Because you want to have an authentic voice. You want to have a voice that is your own. And which is very similar to fiction, right? In fiction, if you don't have a distinctive voice, then you get lost. You're lost in the crowd. No one wants to read you because there's nothing unique about you. And what is unique is the voice. It's like how you tell the story. Yeah.
Does that put a lot of pressure on the non-fiction voice in journalism? Like you just mentioned that news is moving towards personality.
Yeah, I think it does. But it's just a matter of realizing it, right? Here in Nepal, I don't think our major media organizations have really understood that that's where it is going. And how do we deal with it? It's still, they still function as traditional, mainstream corporate media. It does put pressure on the journalists, but I think that's a pressure that we need to accept and figure out how to work with this. We can't be always set in our ways, right? If things change, situations change, technology is evolving, we need to get with the times. Need to figure out how do I put myself out there, or how do I put my writing or my thoughts and my analysis out there in a way that people will read. Like, what is the point of writing something if no one's going to read it, especially as a journalist, right? Sure, fiction writing, you can write a short story, and even if no one reads it, so what? I wrote my story. But in journalism, you want people to read it. The whole point is to inform people. And if no one's being informed, then what's the point? So you want as many people as possible to read your work. That's the effect. That's the way to gauge how successful you are as a journalist, when people read it and it leads to some change or some action or status quo ma kehi change. Then you're like, yeah, I did something. I contributed. मेरो journalistic contribution यो हो भनेर भन्न मिल्यो नि.
Does that put people at a higher risk of isolation? जस्तै कुनै एउटै मात्रै फिगरलाई ट्रस्ट, जस्तै अब कसैलाई देखिरहेको छ, you trust them so much, so त्यही एउटै मात्रै voice आउने risk पनि त हुन सक्छ नि त.
No, you're very right. Yeah, it is true. And that's the phenomenon that's happening, right? Like you trust this person, but you trust them so blindly that you just believe everything that they say. And that happens a lot. Nani त्यो especially in the US, it's that ekdam त्यो bipartisan, right? Like you are either ekdam right wing and you follow all the conservative hosts and Fox News and all that, and you distrust all the liberal New York Times and all that, or you're on the New York Times side and you mistrust everything that Fox News says and all. त्यस्तो डिभाइडहरू भइरहेछ. अनि नेपालमा त्यतिको आई डोन्ट थिङ्क वी आर at that stage yet, right? त्यस्तो डिभिजन भइसकेको छैन. But there are people here who watch certain personalities, like news personalities or analysts, and they believe everything that they say. And these analysts they aren't right about everything, right? Like sometimes they have bad takes, sometimes they're outright wrong, but there is no tendency to like maybe correct them or think, that doesn't sound right. So yeah, there is that danger that like you become in this own bubble and you misunderstand things or you misinterpret things. त्यो पनि danger त एकदम छ. So I don't know. Like that's where it's going towards, and it's not really. I don't think it's really good for the world or like for people to really just trust personalities. But of के गर्ने त्यसमा, हैन? How do we figure things out? How do we deal with if that's what the future is or the near future is? Then how do we deal with it? How do we make sure that we are better informed and we aren't just in silos? So that's something we'll have to figure out. Like I don't have any answers. I'm just figuring this out as we go.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how time unfolds. You're also an editor and you've also edited so many people's works. How has that been like? And is there anything that stood out from you that you learned from that process?
Editing.
You've also edited one of my pieces.
Yes, I do. I enjoy editing. I think because in a way it's a lot of pressure off me. I'm not the one being edited, right? Oh. I'm the one doing the editing. So I get to tell other people what to do. But it's also like, I think editing is interesting for me because I can see the work as a whole. And I can kind of identify, okay, what is working, what is not, what could be done better, how could this be said better, how could, structural changes, all that. To recommend गर्न सक्छु. आफूलाई लेख्दाखेरि चाहिँ when I write myself, I can't do that because I don't know the whole picture, right? I don't know where it's going. At least when I'm writing. Later when I'm editing, yes, आफूलाई edit गर्दा, आफूलाई edit गर्न गाह्रो छ. You can't really edit yourself very well, at least.
True.
So I do, because I see that whole and I see like यसको potential के छ, what could this be. It's like त्यो भन्छ नि, like you have a block of marble and those sculptors who sculpt
Oh yeah, I think there's a Michelangelo quote or something.
Yeah, that
I
you
saw
kind
an angel and it set it free or something like that.
Like you envision what is inside this block of marble, right? Like this, it's kind of like that. Okay? Like you see this piece and you're like, okay, here is what it could be. Here is the potential that this piece has. And then my job as an editor is to help the writer get to that potential, realize that potential. So yeah, it's also very collaborative work, A lot of people don't like being edited. But I think when you find someone who's very open to it and is working with you, it's a very intimate process, because writing is very personal to a lot of people, and it is sharing it with someone and allowing that other person to actually comment on it and say, this is working, this is not working, this is good, this is not good, is really sharing a very intimate part of yourself with another person and allowing them that power. So it's when it works, it's great. Okay, when there is a great partnership between the writer and the editor, it's like almost like being in a relationship or something,
Yeah, the editor is not working against you. You're working together to read somewhere. What kind of writing insights have emerged for you as an editor that you think you can use as a writer? So like two different roles, but like kind of like borrowing between the two.
I think what I have learned really is that there is no writing is a very I don't know how to say that. I don't want to say it's a personal thing. Yeah, because of course it is personal, but there is no set way to do things. Sometimes because I feel like I was at one point where I was like told or like taught or just like in conversation where people would say you need to write every day. There are writers who do that, right? They write every single day, and whether it's good or bad, nothing. It's discipline. That's what you need. And I agree, writers do need discipline, or you end up becoming someone like me who hasn't written another book in 10 years. That's because I lack that discipline. But working with others has made me realize that no one has discipline. Very, very few people in the world are that disciplined that they write every single day. So most writers, even if they are really great writers, they don't, they don't have a set way of doing things. And I think that's the approach that I've learned, that working with other writers, realizing that, okay, their process is just completely different. And there's no way for me to tell them, here's how to do it. No, I can just say, this part works, this part doesn't work. Yesto gare ramro hola. But it is up to the writer to do it, right? Like to figure out, त्यो चाहिँ कसरी गर्ने भनेर. So I used to be, I need to be more disciplined. I do need to be more disciplined, but maybe not every single day lekhne khalko. But find my own way of doing things, right? Like find our own way of kind of the process of writing. Sitting down to write. Kahan basera lekhne, or kati time dine. What time of day do you want to write? Like, just things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the process really. It showed me that I think I'm still finding my own process, Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what's your process like? How's it been like finding your process? What have you tried and maybe what has failed?
Yeah, so I did try this writing everyday thing. So a couple of years back, I did do that. I wrote every single day, like at least 500 words, and or just I did it for like a month or so. And then later I read what I did and I was like, this is horrible. This is terrible. This is not working out for me at all. Because usually for me, what has always happened is that I don't really have a process. Sometimes it's just like, something spark huncha ke. Sometimes you're just like, I just need to write today. And then you just sit down and then you bang out a short story. And then it's like actually good. But sometimes jatti try gare pani aउँदै आउँदैन. So I don't know what it is. I don't... sometimes it just feels like I'm possessed or something. त्यो के हुन्छ एक दिन चाहिँ एकदम बसेर ल आज चाहिँ म गर्छु भनेर के जागर आउँछ, some energy, some, I don't know, something possessing me, and then I do it. So I don't know. But I've been figuring out, what works, what doesn't work. Realize writing every day doesn't work.
Okay.
So maybe just writing when I feel like it. But that also hasn't worked because I haven't written. So I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Still ongoing. I see. When you switch genres from fiction to nonfiction, do you feel differently? I mean, like is there like a compartmentalized thing happening in your brain where you're like, okay, this portion of the room is for fiction, this portion of the room is for nonfiction?
Yes, I do think so. And I think I have that switch in my brain that does that. And the more I do journalism, it's getting harder for me to switch back. these days I find it much more difficult to write fiction than ever before. And I think it's because I've been doing journalism every day for the past so many years that my brain has now somehow just switched completely to that journalism track, And it's much harder for me to sit and just like imagine things. With journalism, so much about like what has happened. Who is this person? This person actually exists. This event actually happened. So it's all about what is out there, what is real. Fiction, I need to create things, right? I need to create characters. I need to create plot lines. I need to create like sometimes entire settings. So I just need to imagine that in my head so that I can write about it. But it gets very difficult for me to do that because it's a thing that doesn't exist. So what I try is now to mix and match, to amalgamate. Just like imagine an existing room, imagine another existing room, combine the two into a room that has portions from each, but doesn't exactly exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a hybrid.
Uh-huh.
And is that working? Do you think it's working?
I'm trying that out. Let's say that is my like latest process, right? Like that's what I'm trying to make work. It's okay. It still hasn't given me that drive, but it's like something that I'm trying out, and we'll see if it works for me.
Yeah, experiment. So yeah, wow. Process keeps changing, and it's very refreshing to hear that you are still discovering your process. Pressure I need to know what works for me, but it's okay if you don't know, right?
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Just go and see and experiment. On that note, maybe it's time to move to an experimental section, which is the rapid fire.
Cool. Rapid fire.
Yeah, rapid fire.
I'm a little nervous, but also a little excited.
It's okay, don't worry. A lot of my guests always say that. Rapid fire always.
Yeah, because I don't know what's coming.
It'll be fine, don't worry.
Sure.
But before that, a quick shout out to Palsa Newari Kitchen, our snack partner for this season, for sending us their tasty snacks. Now back to rapid fire. If you are not a writer, what would you be?
What would I be, or what would I want to be?
Either ways, it's open for interview. Oh my god, rapid fire question just came back to me.
What I want to be, I would actually want to have been like if I wasn't a writer, I would have wanted to become a filmmaker.
Oh.
But what I actually would have been if I hadn't been a writer is probably unemployed, and I don't know.
Okay, that's an interesting answer. Imagine you are going on a long vacation. What are the 3 books you'd pack to read?
So I do actually have at least one book that I take with me wherever I go. It's Mahmoud Darwish. He's a Palestinian poet. His book called Memory for Forgetfulness. So it's a book that he wrote when he was in Lebanon or in Beirut, and Israel was shelling Beirut at the time, and it's just his recollections. So I love that book. I take it with me wherever I go. So definitely that book. Then another book, Italo Calvino, Invisible Cities. I just adore that book because it's just a collection of individual, descriptions of cities, and I can just pick that up and go to any page and just find this like really imaginative, beautiful, lyrical piece of writing. That's the second one. What's the third one? I don't know. What is my third one? I'll have to think about it. I don't know. These are my 2. Okay. Do I need a third?
If you don't have it, it's okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, I'm a night person. I'm a night owl.
Do you have a favorite time of the day to write?
Usually in the evenings.
In the evenings. So not a morning person at all?
Yeah, not at all.
So all Kalam Weekly stuff gets written at evenings and nights?
Yeah, generally.
Generally. What do you enjoy writing more? Like dialogues or descriptions or something else?
I don't like dialogues. I'm not very good at it. So I like monologues, really.
Monologues.
I like monologues, yeah.
So, okay, monologues. Do you have an overused word in your drafts? Like a word you keep using all the time.
I don't know. I probably do, but I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe the word really. At least in my non-fiction writing, I sometimes when I edit it, I keep deleting the reallys. So maybe the word really.
Maybe the word really is. Okay. First draft or final edits? What do you enjoy more?
First draft, definitely.
Why?
So exciting. Final edit is like the worst. You're like, oh my God, like just get this over with.
What's the longest? Not longest. Like, what is the maximum drafts you've written for a piece, if you remember?
I don't know. Maybe like 10, 12.
10, 12?
Yeah, probably. It's around. If it crosses 10, then I get bored with it.
Okay.
And then I'm just like, I just want to get this done.
Let's just finish this. Do you enjoy rewriting?
Do I enjoy writing?
Rewriting.
Rewriting? Yes, I do. I really do enjoy editing myself. I don't think I'm very good at editing myself, but I do enjoy the process of going through my first draft or my second draft and basically just rewriting, redoing things.
Okay, final question. A writing advice you have for anyone listening?
Walk, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Take a walk. Because it really helps you with your writing.
That's very interesting. A writing advice to walk. Very, yeah. I love walking too. And I think it's really good for thoughts.
Exactly.
Also burns a bit of calories here and there. Thank you so much, Pranaya. That brings us to the end of our conversation. It's been so much fun hosting you and having you here. I hope you had a great time.
Thank you, Alfa. No, it was great to be here. All these, the things that I don't consciously think about. So it's always nice to have, conversations where I'm actively trying to process these things. So yeah, great to be here. Really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward to Kalam Weekly this Friday.
Yay. Read and subscribe, please.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you.